Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I haven't filmed in a while as life has been pretty hectic around here, as I have now got a nearly 4-month-old baby and a 19-month-old. I still call her a baby, but I really wanted to do my birth story for you guys, and I'm going to try and start doing videos again as and when I can. I'm going to aim for one every Sunday. I might miss a week, unfortunately, because my life is, as I said, a bit crazy, so it's just as and when I can, unfortunately. So before I'm gonna get into my birth story, I feel like I need to take you back to discuss my pregnancy, because I had quite a tough pregnancy, and I feel like some people have it way worse than me. But my first pregnancy was pretty straightforward. I didn't even have morning, I felt sick, but I was never sick, didn't have morning sickness. Normal labour, was quick, had an episiotomy, but it was nothing major. Didn't have a very nice midwife, but apart from that I had a pretty good experience. So I'll link my first birth story below if you want to watch, whatever, read or something. But yeah, so second time around I just thought pregnancy is going to be a doddle, I've already done this, it's just going to be exactly the same. I was so wrong. So the whole of the first trimester and into the second trimester, I'm prone to chest infections. I've got a form of lung disease anyway, and I just had chest infection after chest infection after chest infection. At one point I couldn't even stand up, because if I did I threw up, because my body was so overrunning with infections. I had 2 chest infections at the same time, one that was some form of pneumonia and one that was some form of flu. They tested the bacteria in my lungs. So yeah, I was just really ill the whole time. I don't even know how I got through it, to be honest, because half the time Jack was in London and I was looking after Margot. So I was really ill with that, but then also really bad sickness, throwing up all the time. And I feel like the chest infections didn't help, because when I was coughing then it was triggering and making me sick. So the two together was just awful. Anyway, roll around near the end of the second trimester, or second trimester, chest infections disappear, sickness is pretty much gone. I'm still being sick, but quite randomly, and I didn't feel sick anymore, so I was I can deal with that. And then I just start bleeding all the time, just so annoying. So when I say all the time, so I'd have a bleed and then you have to ring them, and then they'd be come in, check you out, okay, it's fine. And then after the third time that happened, they were we're gonna have to keep you in for 24 hours. And that happened a few times, and then it happened again, and they were you've got to stay in now until you've not bled for 24 hours. So I was thinking, I'm gonna be here for 48 hours. So oh no, then I got to go home. And then, because it stopped, or nearly stopped, but it was my birthday, so they were you can go home and have the afternoon at least of your birthday at home. I gave them a sob story. And then I think it was a day or 2 days after that, I had to go back in again, and it was really upsetting, because it was the middle of the night. I'm getting way into this, I'm sure this should be a birth story, but I feel this is all leads up to the birth story. And it was really upsetting. It was the middle of the night, and at this point I just knew the drill, and I was don't worry about coming with me, Jack. I'm just gonna ask my dad or mum to take me, because Margot's asleep. There's no point in upsetting her, and you just stay in bed and I'll get them to drop me. And my dad took me, bless him, and he was gonna come in, but I was I know what they do a speculum exam and everything, and I didn't want my dad sat next to me while I was having that. And also it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I knew they were going to keep me in, so I was don't worry, just drop me at the door. And I was just crying the whole time. I felt so sorry for myself. Obviously not in front of him, once he left I was. Otherwise he wouldn't have left me, he's not heartless. And then, yeah, so we got there, had to stay in, and then I was thinking I'll be home tomorrow or in 2 days when it stopped. And it just wasn't stopping. So I said to them, what do you think's gonna happen? Because it wasn't constant bleeding, and it wasn't a lot of bleeding. It was just it would almost stop and then it would start again. And then I should mention I had a low-lying placenta. Yeah, so I was in there I think for a week or just over a week. But basically on day 3, the doctor was you're not going home without your baby, basically. And I don't even think I was 30 weeks then, and they were best case scenario, we get you to 30 weeks and we do a C-section, 34 weeks and we do a C-section. But they were you're not going to get past 34 weeks. and that's if there is an emergency. Like the whole time I was in there, they had my blood in the fridge ready to go because they expected me, basically. It felt like they were just waiting for me to hemorrhage, then they would deliver the baby. So it's quite scary, and like every day it would be like, one day they gave me steroid injections because I'd had some heavy bleeding in the night and they thought this is going to happen. And then the next day it slowed down and they were like, no, like we're not going to do anything. Because essentially it was so early to deliver a baby. They didn't want the baby coming too early. And they didn't, but then they also didn't want me. It was like a juggle of like, the baby was absolutely fine, but then obviously they didn't want me to be at too much risk. So anyway, that all cleared up miraculously, and I managed to get home for 4 days. And then on the 4th day we were like, let's take Margot to soft play because she hasn't done anything fun in ages. Like we haven't seen her properly, I missed her. And we were like, it hadn't bled, like this could be it. Because when I left they were like, you could get to 37 weeks, your placenta could move, you could have a natural birth. Like literally the mind games that it messes with you so much, because you're like, literally what's happening, like you just cannot prepare. So anyway, then literally got there and I just felt the feeling. I just knew that, because there's a difference as well. Like if it was old blood, then it's not that much of an issue, but if it's new blood, then it is. So I had a little bit of new blood. So I was like, Jack made me leave straight. I was like, we'll be fine, just let Margot play it and then we'll go. Anyway, he was like, no, we've got to go. So went, dropped Margot at Jack's mum's, I think. It was Jack's mum's or my mum's. And then went to, while we were waiting to go, I passed a clot, I think. Sorry, the whole video is just going to be TMI. And then we got there and I mentioned something to them, but like, I was like, I don't know if I'm like drama queen, because you do get cramps in pregnancy, but I was like, I have had like kind of some cramps all day, and I was like, they've been kind of like started and then they're like slowly getting a bit more closer together, and more like I can feel them, but I don't think it's anything, but I'm just mentioning it because obviously I'm in hospital and I'm pregnant. And then they were like, okay, and they put me on the monitor and they were like, oh, there are some like tightenings, but nothing to like signify necessarily labour. And I was like, okay. And by this point the bleeding had pretty much stopped. Then they were like, we're just going to put you in the delivery room to keep an eye on you. And me and Jack were both like, that's weird, because they always would just put me straight onto a ward. So Jack was like, something's happening. And I was like, no, it's not, like, I'm not even bleeding anymore. And he was like, no, something's happening because we're in this room. Anyway, we ordered Wagamama's because we were starving. Wagamama's came, and then while we were waiting, the bleeding it came back. Quite a bit more, like more clots and stuff, but it wasn't like loads, but yeah, quite a bit. It was like, it definitely started up again and more than before. And then literally Jack walked in with the Wagamama's and the midwife was like, she can't have that. And I was like, oh my god. Bear in mind, I hadn't eaten since like whatever time in the morning, like 8 o'clock in the morning. And then we went to, I'm trying to remember, I get really distracted. Oh yeah, and also I was so lucky because I'd obviously got to know the midwives really well when I was on the ward, and I had got on really well with this one midwife, and she was so lovely. We was just like chatting about podcasts and things, and just felt like, I always felt like happier when I knew she was there, because I just felt like, I don't know, some of the midwives were not as nice as she was. Anyway, and so the day, she just so happened, because she doesn't actually necessarily work on the delivery ward as much, I don't think, she so happened to be doing a shift, and I don't know if she wangled it, if it was just like luck, but she ended up having me. So even though this birth was way scarier than the previous birth, because I had a midwife that I actually really liked and I felt supported, it was a way better experience, which is crazy because my other birth was like 6 hours and so straightforward. So it's mad how much difference in a person can have on your experience. So definitely, guys, if your midwife's not very good, then make sure you complain and ask to change, because I wish I had the balls to do that in the first time round. But anyway, so then the bleeding starts to like intensify, and they're all like, don't know what we're gonna do, doctor keeps coming in. Then they're like, we're gonna have to cannulate you, which I'd literally denied for the whole time, because when I'd gone in one time, they tried to put cannula in, and like I just got a bruise. Basically the whole of my bottom of my arm was bruised. So after that I was like, I'm not having a cannula unless I really need it. And then she tried to cannulate me 3 times when I first got there. Not my midwife, the healthcare assistant I think they're called, the ones that like weigh you and do all your urine tests and everything, like prepare you for the doctor and midwife. Anyway, she tried 3 times. One time I literally got a lump. I feel like, is that still there? No, I don't know. I got a lump that was like a golf ball, like that, and I was like, is that normal? And in the end she gave up and was like, we'll just give you it if you need it. Anyway, the doctor came in, did it, was like, you need it. So then lots of different things happening. I think then, because the bleeding was intensifying and they were like weighing all the stuff to like see how much I'd lost, and they were like, so I'd already had the steroid injections, 2 steroid injections. Don't know what that is. It just, they give it to you if you're going to have the baby early or likely to have the baby early, or they think that something could happen. So I had it when I was in hospital previously for the week, because they thought that he was coming early, and it just helps to develop their lungs, because that is the part that develops last, so it just gives them more chance of kind of survival and not needing assistance, and that was so good for us. And then, so after that, so when they gave me another drip of, I want to say potassium, but I'm not 100% sure, and it's horrible. It's literally the worst. So they give you like an intense bit for 15 minutes I think, and then I'm trying to remember, it's all very chaotic at the time, and then they give you it over the space of, I think they might have said 24 hours or like 10, like a longer period, but I think I only had it for an hour or 2 after that, because then things amped up, which I'll get to. But it makes you so hot and sweaty and itchy. It's like the worst thing. It's so hard to describe, but yeah, it made me feel like really hot and itchy, and like sweaty. So I had that, and that helps to develop the brain. And then I think, so I was like, I really need the toilet, like I'm desperate. So at this point I was on the monitor as well, and they were like, do you want pain relief, because I can see that like you're having really strong contractions. And I was like, no, I'm fine, like it's fine. And then like 5 minutes later I was like, no, we'll have some, actually, so I had some oral morphine, which is like liquid morphine. And so, but this is the one thing that I really wish, is that they'd examined me, because I feel like I really wish I'd known how far dilated I was, because I feel like I was in labour for quite a while, but I didn't really think about the fact that I was in labour because everything else was going on. But I was definitely in labour and having contractions, so I really want to know like how far along I got. Anyway, so then they were like, you can go to the toilet, but you're going to have to take all of the drips and everything with you. So Jack had to come with me, and I stood up. And this is gross, so skip the next couple of seconds if you want to. A clot, literally like this big. I'm not even exaggerating. Just went out and loads of blood. And I was just like, and then I still went to the toilet. They were like, you can still go to the toilet, but like, I think I don't know, and it got a bit crazy after that. And then Jack was like, are you okay, because you didn't react to that? And I was like, I feel like everything leading up to this, I'm just like not shocked by anything anymore. And to me, I was like, I'm more embarrassed, because it feels to me like I just pooed myself in front of a room of people. But yeah, anyway, so that happened, and then I think that was when they were like, okay. And so meanwhile, this doctor who was like in charge, like the, I can't remember what they call the consultant, was coming round. She was coming in and out. And then her, I think they're called registrar, like the one below her, was coming round too. And he kept coming in and being, oh no, this is after the blood clot. I'm trying to remember what order it is. Anyway, because obviously you can imagine there's quite a lot going on in my head too, like it's all very confusing. So he kept coming round and being like, can you just sign this form for like if you have to have a C-section, and like basically disclaimer what they're called, just sign it. So I signed it, and then the doctor, the consultant would come in and be like, yeah, like we're gonna wait because the baby's really happy and like we know you're losing loads of blood, but we can just give you blood transfusions. And I was like, I mean, at one point Jack literally had to say to her, like, you know, the priority is Sinead here, you know. And she was like, oh yeah, of course, because it did feel a bit like they were like, we can just hook you up to some blood and keep you alive so the baby's fine. But anyway, so she said that, and then someone would come in and give Jack scrubs, be like to go to surgery, and then she would come in and be like, no, like we're gonna wait a bit longer. And then someone else would come in and be like talking to me, the anaesthetist, about everything. Then she'd come in and be like, no, we're gonna wait. And we were just like, what is going on? But yeah, I think that there must have been a shift change or something, and my midwife said they had a meeting because of the situation, and like with a few consultants, and there was one that had seen me when I was in hospital for the week, and he was like, this is like needs to happen basically. So then had to have emergency C-section, really surreal experience, so many people in there. Did not expect there to be so many people in there, like constantly. Everyone introduced themselves to me and told me what they did, which was really nice actually, even though I couldn't absorb any information. And the anaesthetist talked to me the whole way through and was like, I mean, me and Jack was shocked at how many drugs they give you. It was like, we give you this for this, and then this to counteract that, the thing that will give you, and then this counteracts the thing that gives you. And it was like, this is going to make you itch, so we're giving you this to stop you itch. That one's going to make you feel sick, so we're giving this to stop you feel sick. And it was literally like, what is going on? And then, so had him at 6:07 on the 6th of June. Then the anaesthetist said that 1 o'clock said 6:06, so he was born at 6:06 on the 6th of the 6th month. That's crazy. And yeah, he was £4.5, born at 31 weeks and 5 days. They literally took him out and put him in a carrier bag, like a thing to keep him warm, not an actual carrier bag. And then they had like already got, we were waiting in the surgery room for a bit for the NICU team to get there, because they were like, we don't want to deliver the baby until they're there ready to like take him. So we were just like waiting for like 5-10 minutes, or it felt like an hour, but it was probably like 3 minutes. Then they took him through to another room, and Jack went in, and Jack was like, I honestly feel like they showed me him in case he didn't make it, which is really weird, because he said the colour was just like awful, and just, yeah, he just said it wasn't like, he didn't feel good about being in there, so he came out. And he said that was the hardest thing, because I was like, what's he like, is he okay? He was like, yeah, he's fine, but thinking like, is he gonna make it kind of thing. So yeah, the NICU team literally like all hands on there, and then they were like wheeled him, so then they got his colour back and everything, he was fine. Well, you know, born at 31 plus 5 weeks, but 5 days, but fine for that. And they wheeled him past me like quite a distance, but like I could see him, and that's like how I saw him. And then like sorted me out, and then I went to a recovery room. I had a really bad experience, and I feel like I'm blabbering on, I don't know how detailed to get into it, but in the recovery room, once my midwife had gone home, my midwife, because I had a trainee who was also really nice, I got just taken care of by the night midwife, who was an agency midwife, which I'm really scared of, because my last midwife, who was really rude to me, was an agency midwife, but this was a different lady. She was really nice. She wasn't like she wasn't as nice as my midwife that I had, that I like got on really well with, but she was like a good midwife. She just wasn't very like overly friendly. But then there was a nurse who literally, I mean, she just didn't like me. Like, I don't know if she just didn't like her job and she got annoyed if someone asked her to do her job or what, but I asked for a cup of tea and biscuits, bearing in mind it was like 9 o'clock at night and I hadn't eaten since 8 o'clock in the morning, and she was like, and then like made them and brought them over. So Jack had gone home at this point to go and get some bits, because I'd literally taken like a can of Coke and my laptop, thinking I'd be in for like a few hours or overnight. And then she kept coming in and being like, you've not drunk your tea? Like, it's gonna go cold. And then I asked her if I could get my charger, or if she could get my charger out of my bag. I've just had surgery, can't move. She was like, and like, this one, and like gave it to me, and I was like, thank you. And then I was literally, the woman next to me was snoring like a warthog. So I was like, please could you get my no, I didn't actually, because I was too scared to ask her for anything else. So I said, could you put my bag next to my bed so I can get stuff out of it? And I was like reaching over, obviously in pain, because I shouldn't be doing that because I just had surgery, and I had like tears streaming down my face. She kept coming in and she could obviously see that I was crying and like didn't care. And then she just made me feel like upset and like even more sorry for myself than I already felt. And obviously I was really emotional. And then I rang Jack and was like, please, like, can you get here ASAP? I'm really upset. And then, oh, did I text him? Anyway, he got there and I was like telling him, but like, because she was on the other side of the curtain. And Jack was like, oh my God, she's so rude. Other words we used. And then she came in and was like, what's the problem? And I was like hysterical at this point. And I was like, I'm fine. And she was like, no, like, there's something wrong, what's wrong? And Jack was like, she's fine. She said she's fine. And then she had her hands behind her back and she was like, no, there's something wrong with her. She's crying, what's the problem? And like really kind of aggressive, I don't know. I just felt like she was starting on me and I was in a hospital bed. So I was really upset. But anyway, someone else came in after she did that a few times. And they were really nice. So, and it was my friend's friend. Actually, my friend works in like the healthcare profession, and so she knew someone who worked in that ward, and she got them to come and like look after me, and she cleaned me up. She took me in my bed to go and see Barney. I couldn't really see him because his incubator was like here, and I was like laid down, but I could just see like the top of his head and like that he was kind of there. And then just went back to they took me to my room then at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It took ages. So literally, this is another thing she did. She like piled my bed, filled my bed with all my stuff. So I was like laid there with like bags all over me. And then left me there for like 3 hours. And I was like, am I going to bed? Like, I really want to sleep. Like, I've just had a baby. Can I sleep? Or can you take me to the room so I can sleep? What's going on? And she kept being like, I'll do it in a minute. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Don't know where you're going. And I'm like, why did you just load me up? So then basically the rest is just post-birth. I stayed in hospital for quite a few days because I lost a lot of blood, and they were like on the verge of giving me blood transfusion. They didn't know if they would or not. I think I had him on Monday night and I left on Thursday like afternoon. So I mean, that's not that long really considering. But yeah, so the next day I went to go and see him in a wheelchair, which is like agony. Oh my God, C-section recovery is no joke, guys. So much worse than natural birth. I don't know why anyone would opt for it. Got wheeled round and I literally got into his little bay and I hadn't even stood up and I was like, I'm gonna faint. And then they had to wheel me back. So I was like, I could just see his thing, but I couldn't go and see him. And then I think, so on like Wednesday morning, like 3 AM, so this is like 2 days after I had him, they took me round so I could go and see him, and I managed to stand up and put my hand in and touch him, and that was like the first time I touched him. So it's quite like sad really that I didn't get to touch him or like hold him even. And then I went with Jack that day, I think, to see him. I can't remember if they let us hold him that day or not. I think they did. So I think like 3 days after we got to hold him, but we're only allowed to hold him once a day. So we had to kind of every day be like, who's gonna hold him, me or you? Like, it's a horrible thing. And Jack was so lovely and said most of the time that I could, because also I was expressing my breast milk, so the hormones were like really important to help with my supply. That's the end of my birth story. I won't go on and on. If you guys want to hear like about my NICU experience, then let me know and I can do another video on that, because he was in there for a month. We did take him home tube feeding, but yeah, I can talk to you about the ups and downs and everything if that's something you guys want to hear about. But I just this video is going to be ridiculously long if I try and put them into one long video. I really wish Jack was here so he could kind of contribute, because I feel like there's things that he would remember that I wouldn't. Oh, let me just tell you about him quickly, because obviously if you've got a baby it's coming early. So he was born at 31.5. He was £4.5. They put him prophylactic antibiotics in case he had an infection, but he didn't, so he only stayed on them for like 2 days. He was on a CPAP machine, but no oxygen, so the steroid injection really helped, and he was such a good size for his gestation. Like she said, that if he'd have got to full term, he would have been huge. So yeah, he did really well. CPAP machine just kind of apparently keeps your lungs warm, blows warm air in. So when he's breathing, they never fully collapse. So it's not such an effort to breathe. And he was on that for 2 or 3 days, and then he was not on any assisted breathing. It was just his feeding. So he did really well. But if you want to hear about his full kind of NICU journey, then I can like let you guys know, because I know that I found it like really daunting, and it's the kind of thing that you just think will never happen to you. It happens to other people. So even though I knew that we wouldn't get past 34 weeks, when it actually happened, it was still such a shock. Hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I've got such a dry throat now. And yeah, I'll see you soon. As I said, I'm gonna try and keep doing videos now. And just to let you know, he is also 3 months and 3 months and 3 weeks. 3 months and 4 weeks. He's not 4 months, but he's 16 weeks old, and he is thriving, doing so well. He's pretty much nearly caught up to a baby that is a week older than him. She's really small for her age, but she's like not dangerously small, and he's like nearly caught up to her. So really happy, he's doing so well, and he loves his milk.